Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Court-Martail Podcast. Introducing your host for this evening first. He is the host with the most from the West Coast, the Bay Area Brawler, Skyler Greenberg. And his partner, he has colonized, energized, and revolutionized the podcasting wrestling world today. Your Colonial Champion, Sean
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the ultimate smart professional wrestling experience here on CMP, the Court-Martail Podcast. It is me, the Bay Area Brawler. I am the man of the hour, the man with the power, too sweet to be sour, and we are doing something we said we would never do again. We're doing something that we never dreamed we would do, and that is review an AEW show. But there's a specific reason for it. And, well, I want to say that this was my idea, but it's not my idea. It was these two guys' ideas. And let's get to the introductions. We're going to start with the fearless leader of the colony. He is a man who has been known to, when the chips are down, he plays fusion, and he gets that blue eyes white dragon for that white lightning attack. He's a man known when he's down by the count to come up to you, drink that beer, kick ass, and chew bubblegum. And he's all out of bubblegum. He is the Colonial Champion himself, Sean McCarty.
I'll have you know that statistically my track record is a little bit better than Blue Eyes, but the point still stands. Thank you for the introduction, Sky. My voice has been combative with me today, so I am probably going to be a little less sprightly as I normally am, but you know, you'd be exhausted and out of breath and out of energy too when you used all of your energy to cut a promo after the show we're about to review. But I thankfully, of the people on this podcast, I was not the only one there.
No, you are not, because we have the dark magician to your blue eyes white dragon. He is the master of magic himself. He is the man who is currently in a fish tank and the best rapper on the East Coast. Don't at him, because if you at him, he's going to diss you. He is ABI
Double Z
LE. Hey, Biz, how you doing, man?
Yo, coming in live from my car in the fishbowl. About to drive home and say, yo, we got a show, yo.
That's right, and that show is something you invited me to, and because I love you and Steve, who's the other guy that we went to, I went to this show and forced Skyler to partake in the smart torture that was the Go Home Dynamite.
Yo, you gotta put up the photo for everyone to see of all the Mr. Meeseeks pointing at each other. He wrote me into this. He wrote me into this. That
really is how it feels, isn't it, Sky?
It was one of those things where you guys were not going to go unless the other person went, wasn't it?
Well,
yes, sir.
Yeah, Steve. Well, you might have gone if Steve went and I said no, but like that wouldn't have been nearly as fun as me being a little shitbag to everyone around me. But we'll get into those details as Skyler leads us through the show.
Right. Now, to be clear, this is the Go Home show, the Go Home Dynamite before Full Gear. So this is Wednesday, November 16th.
Yes.
As Full Gear happened on November, Sunday 20th. And we'll talk about Full Gear because we have to.
We have to. Now, here we are on the Monday afterwards, or the Tuesday if I don't edit in time, to be honest with you. But in either way, happy birthday, Josh, again, whose birthday is either today or yesterday, depending on that time. He obligated himself and imposed himself to make sure we wished him happy birthday. So in order to do what MJF did for Tony Khan, happy birthday, Josh, again.
Woo!
Now, I want to double check with AB real quickly. Was this your first ever AEW show?
Yeah.
Was it your last ever AEW show?
Yeah. Most likely.
Sean, is this your first AEW show?
Well, you know the answer to that question. It was yes, and it was barely a yes as it was, but yes, it will be my last AEW show. I think that's a pretty easy question.
Yeah.
Now, to be clear, that you guys have been to the WWE live show in Bridgeport. Is this the same arena?
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead and talk about the experience of going to the arena and the difference between the WWE setup and the AEW setup.
Well, the WWE setup, both of them were similar in the sense that, like, where people came in and out was the same. You know, you were still getting the same kind of entrance and the ring was in the same place. You know, they definitely did try to pump in a little bit of that, like, arena mist that gives AEW that weird fog to it. And you could definitely tell they did that at the beginning of the show. Other than that, there really wasn't a ton of aesthetic difference with the exception of the amount of people in attendance.
Here, my thing is, I noticed, like, I don't know, I think some of the bigger bandstand kind of people, like the bigger industry guys, they know how to make their stage look bigger. It just felt closer and more in your face at Raw or Smack. No, we saw Raw. Than it did. They put their stage way back. I was about to say ECW.
Well, yeah, well, there's ECW had some respectability. I don't know if AEW does. You know,
but like the way they had their stage kind of like in the back. I like the pyro though. That's one thing that I was missing from WWE was the pyro. I want that fire, man.
Well, and also, I mean, just the distinction between the Bridgeport show we went to in WWE was a live Saturday night main event. It was just a live event, so they weren't going to use pyro for that. This was a Dynamite taping, a live TV Dynamite taping, and they have no restraint on anything ever, so of course we got pyro. But it was cool to see live, and it wasn't very loud. I thought it was going to be louder than it was.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Do you want the number of tickets sold for the event?
Now, it's funny, Sky, because I actually looked up this number, so I do know the number you're going to give, but it's worth noting that the Total Mortgage Arena in Bridgeport seats 10,000, which it sold out, AEW did, last year when it came to Bridgeport, and also is the same arena that hosted and sold out for TakeOver 25. How many people were in attendance for the Go Home Dynamite that we saw, Skyler?
Well, the number of tickets sold is 3,141.
Wow.
That's about right. Would you not say, AB? That's about how many people were there.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, and who knows how many of those tickets Tony just bought himself.
Oh, shoot.
Now, here's the thing that's also true is that there probably was a fair amount of giveaways, so that way it would get people to attend. I mean, Sean, you sent me a picture of the arena. The left side of the arena is completely barren.
Yeah, that was the hard cam side, but it was empty. And that's where we sat for the live taping, was in that empty spot. We were over there because it wasn't empty. and you know, it's wild because really the densest concentration was really right by the ring. Everywhere else was like scattered at best.
Right. I mean, here's the thing is that I know this particularly because I was watching the show on TV. So I have the TV perspective. You guys have the live person perspective, which, by the way, can you do me a favor, Sean, and put pictures of what we're talking about? That picture of the left side of the arena.
Yep.
And the vantage point from where you're sitting.
I made a little video and I sent it to Skyler and Josh again. Here's the video.
But anyways, the point is that when I was watching on TV, I noticed they always kept either focused straight ahead or to the right. They never showed the hard cam side, and they never showed like the edges. They only focused on the bottom level because if they had gone to the top level, they would have been shooting empty seats.
Yeah, that was the only spot that was filled, were the front and the right hand side. Exactly where they framed was where they shot, because that was the only place that could make them look like they had a crowd that cared. Because most of the time on the night, they didn't.
Now, I'm curious from Abizzle's perspective. What was the merch like? And from a non-fan, what was the merch like?
I'll tell you what. Oh, man, those smoke machines, they're really crazy, I tell you.
Yeah, AEW really loaded in those fog machines real heavy.
Woo! Well, I'll tell you what. For my buddy Steve, because he bought us the tickets, I told him, hey, you know what? I'll volunteer my buddy to buy a shirt for you for the ticket. That backfired. That backfired hard. So we go up to the booth, the merchandise area. There's a bunch of shirts. There's some cool things. There's what was it? Something to do something. Do what to me, Daddy? What was their
Scissor Me Daddy. That's the Acclaim.
Yeah, the big old pink ass shirt there, and then in between that, there's the golden, black MJF or MKF.
MJF.
What is it?
MJF.
The MJF $100 signed T-shirt with it.
And
signed in the corner. They had like 100 of them probably in there, but we bought Steve that $100 shirt, and I paid half for it.
Yep.
Ooh.
And
Ooh.
and now for your context, guy, Steve is definitely the closest thing to AEW hardcore. So he's really all in on AEW, no pun intended. So when I went in there trying to be a dick to AEW fans, Steve was never bothered because he knew I was just being a heel and being a dick. But there were a couple of things I said that I know that Steve did not love because it was truth.
I mean, we're all about speaking about the truth. I mean, the whole thing about our podcast, before we continue, is that we are speaking our honest opinions. And sure, those opinions may not register with the rest of wrestling, but honestly, we don't give a damn because we're better than you, and you know that.
That's right. And you know, we're always going to be candid about how we feel. And I know that I took great pleasure all night in making the people around me uncomfortable. And one of the most fun things I said was outside the arena, to the point where Steve, who we went with, who was fairly drunk, was like, I know he was just kidding, but he's like, I'm going to end up fighting this dude. And what I said to cause such a heel response, which is the most heat anybody got all night, was Chris Jericho will be the reason AEW dies.
Well, he was doing his damnedest tonight.
And he tried.
So we'll start with the first match. Now we've gotten all the particulars out of the way. It was Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara versus the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, and Claudio Castagnoli.
Yes.
How many people actually sang along to Chris Jericho's stupid lip sync?
Well, Steve wanted to a lot, but I don't know if that many people sang Judas. I'm pretty sure that most people in our group were like, nah, I'm not singing it. AB, you alive?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, hello.
I'm alive. You can hear me?
Welcome back.
Yeah.
There we go.
So how many people were...
What you saying now?
No, I
How
said
many people were saying Judas to Chris Jericho?
not many.
Wait, I'm good. One more time.
Are you awake? Are you alive? Hello. Say words.
I'm here.
Say words. Are you okay?
Words.
Okay. Now, listen very carefully. You got both ears? Look at me.
Yes,
Look at
can you
me.
hear me?
Look at me. How many people were singing Judas?
I'm looking at your profile.
How many people were singing Judas? Not fucking many.
See that during the singing of Judas, Steve said, "You guys gonna sing Judas?" And I said, "No."
And then maybe like 40% of the 30% of the people in the arena sang it.
Yeah.
People are tired of Jericho, man. They really are, and you could tell. It was more of like
Jared Jelly Roll.
Yeah. Yeah. The Chris Jericho fat jokes were definitely in full swing on this night.
To be fair to Chris Jericho, he's in better shape than I've seen him before.
True.
Yeah, but then also to further knock Jericho, that didn't erase the back wrinkles.
Oh,
Because his back was towards us pretty much the whole tag match, and you could tell that he looked like a Goron did his back.
Yeah. No offense during the match.
Can you say that again, AB?
I said no offense to the man, but I think I went to get a burger and fries during this match.
You did. Well, because it took 25 minutes to get started.
Yeah, the setup. I thought it was going to take a little longer. So I was like,
Well, hold on. We have to ask the most important question. Did the match start with calling elbow tie-up?
None of them did. And you know that, Sky. None of them did. It was a jump start, and they had it.
This one started with a hockey fight.
Yeah, and not even a good one at that. And, I mean, even Steve left this match, who's the AEW hardcore in the middle, to buy this $100 shirt. And if they had cut out 2/3 in the middle of this match, it may have gotten a better reaction than it did. But it took forever. The biggest excitement of the night was then when AB was like, oh, shoot, that's Daniel Bryan. Because I made a song about it 4 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, that's the guy. He's like, oh.
Dude, I had no idea he was there. I was like, I thought he was still in WWE doing whatever he's doing.
Nope.
Nah, he's in AEW.
He is far less relevant instead.
Wow.
But
we wish he wasn't in AEW, but he's in AEW.
well, the thing is that Castagnoli looked good, as he always does. Him getting the tap on Jericho did get a pop, which was the only real thing on the entire match that excited anybody and got me back in. I'm like, okay, Jericho tapped for Castagnoli. I can handle that. But other than that, it went too long. I like all 4 guys in it. I don't have any problem with them. Their work was solid. It's the best work we were going to get all night, but it was slow and it meandered and it, like every AEW match, just overstayed its welcome. I can only imagine how many commercial breaks it went through.
There were way too many kickouts.
Yeah.
This match was the longest one of the night. It went through 2 picture-in-picture commercial breaks.
Damn.
I'm not surprised.
And not only that, but these 2 picture-in-picture commercial breaks were worse than what Kevin Dunn does because they were so squeezed up, you couldn't really see what was happening in the action.
It's like, it's like I'm going to beat you in the head with a lawn chair, and then Undertaker and Kane are going to double choke slam you at the same time. Then I'm going to set you on fire, direct you off, then try to pin you and you kick out of it.
Yeah.
Well, that's AEW in a nutshell.
Yeah.
10 more minutes of match.
Yeah, that's right. That's not even like close to the finish, because again, they don't know when enough is enough, and we've seen it constantly in 3 years. And this match, the fact that AB, for as much wrestling as you watched, that was your most notable observation, that has been AEW's problem since it started. Is exactly what you just said.
Yeah. By the way, these 4 wrestled in a fatal 4-way match on Full Gear for 21 minutes for the Ring of Honor World Championship, and Chris Jericho won that match.
By pinning Danielson?
I think he pinned Claudio.
Oh, okay. Well, they don't care about Claudio, so fine. But
so hold on. Here's the stupid part of the thing for this match, okay? Who was the referee?
It's got to be Rick Knux.
Nope. It was a female referee. You know who it is.
Oh, you mean for the tag match?
For the tag match.
Oh, for the tag match. Yes, no, Aubrey Edwards, who did a lot fewer Bob Fosse poses than I thought she would.
Except for the part where literally Chris Jericho gets a baseball bat, tries to use it on Claudio. This match is no disqualification, but she doesn't even try to get the baseball bat out. But she has to stand on the ropes with her best Bob Fosse pose as Claudio is swinging Chris Jericho with the bat.
And then poses with the bat and the sharpshooter.
Exactly.
Well, the thing is, it's like Aubrey Edwards was like the least offensive part of the match. I mean, given, I think that where they frame it on TV, they actually show her to look more dramatic on TV than they actually do live. That didn't come across live, I don't think.
It's the way she poses for the hard cam that makes her look stupid. Like, she has her legs spread out, she has her arms up and wide, and she is a spectator, just like the rest of us. She's not a referee.
Well,
so
she has about as much grip on the rules as any one of us does. So,
yeah.
I don't know what
Anyways, we move on from this. They go to commercial break proper. During the commercial, we get a DraftKings.com commercial with fucking Chuck and Taylor.
You mean Chuck and Trent?
Whoever.
Chuck Taylor and Trent? The best friends.
The best friends. Fuck them.
Yeah. Yeah, there's... Well, AB, you know how I've got, like, a developing gut? Imagine that, like, bellowing over wrestling tights, and that would be Chuck Taylor.
Damn.
Yeah. And his work is crap, and his promos are crap, and
everything is crap.
And Trent would have been nice if he wasn't with this guy at all, ever. but that ship has so sailed. So,
Damn.
so
But here's the thing: is that we get this commercial and a couple other commercials. We come back, we get this weird thing with Darby Allin and Sting.
oh yeah, the body bag trailer. You remember that, AB?
No.
There you go. It's Darby Allin, the 100 and however many pounds guy who's with Sting, who is driving this body bag car, and Sting goes, "It's showtime." But we don't see either of them. They don't show up. It was just a VTR. The crowd did not care because by and large, with the exception of like a handful of things on the night, the crowd was bored at best.
Well, let's go ahead and get to one of the few things they actually cared about: the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass. Now, here's the thing: both of you are professional rappers, correct?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
So how would you rate Matt Caster's rap game as he was coming to the ring?
Well, as Kendrick Lamar likes to say, boo boo. Just open to interpretation. It's how you want it.
Yeah. Or, as Kendrick Lamar also used to say, ah! But, no, I mean, I will say this. While Max Caster, from the first time we saw him rap to now, has gotten tremendously better at actually hitting the beats and landing the rhymes where they're supposed to land and actually having solid flow. That being said, the Acclaimed are the most over thing on the show. Because they got the biggest pop of the night, bar none.
And to be honest, I'm happy for them because that's a lot of hard work on both of their parts, especially Max Caster getting the promo stuff down.
Yep.
He really has improved to the point where the gimmick is passable. It's no longer a John Cena ripoff.
Yeah, and I mean, they're green, and you could tell in this match really showed that because why you give...
Hold on.
But,
Wait.
I know, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm just saying, they're green, but the crowd is into them. They are really into them. I mean, no one got the beat like the Acclaimed did. No one got the pop like the Acclaimed did. It's a shame that all went away in the 4-minute music video that they did after they showed up.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so they start this thing with the stupid music video with Captain Insane Show. Or Captain Insano, however you say it.
Yes, the big show is Captain Insano.
From his gimmick when he was in WCW with the Waterboy movie.
Yeah. That's how he's ending his career. As that. They got the rights to it, and now he's going to retire with that.
Oh, man.
But here's the thing, is that they proceed to do this horribly, and I mean horribly, acted out music video with these two guys who are supposed to be Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, as he claimed they're ripping them apart.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. AB, Sean, I could give both of you $10,000 and about maybe, 3 days on a weekend in a park somewhere, and you guys could make a better music video than these guys did.
Yeah.
I mean, without the $10,000, I think with Amir and I, one good afternoon and a day of editing, we could do a better job than that.
I say with the 10,000 and just in our bedroom, really doable.
Literally just not leaving the house. Just give us the money. We'll just sit around and we'll make a better video than that.
like for the exterior shots, all you have to do is just go to the backyard and you could probably make a better video.
Yeah, you're so right, Sky. You are so unbelievably right.
But then that's the thing, is that I say 10,000, but they probably spent 25 on this.
Oh, Lord knows how much money they spent on this video. And really, when this video came on, AB and I looked at each other like, man, there had to have been a better time to do this than right now.
I was like, what's happening? You could barely even hear the music for what was happening. And I was like,
Yeah, that's true too. You really couldn't hear the lyrics that they were saying live. I mean, you could see the visual and it was like, oh, okay. But it was also, Sky, you and I have said it before about WWE. It's B-roll before match or in the middle of an entrance. That's basically what this was just for a 4-minute music video.
Yeah. From the words.
I mean, wrestlers have done the music video thing before. I think Shawn Michaels did it once. I know, like, on a lesser scale, Tyler Breeze did it, but there's a way to do it, but this is not it.
Yeah.
One could easily just release this on YouTube and it would have been fine.
Remember, in the WWE, he goes, his phrase was, "What's up?
R-Truth.
Yeah. He put on a freaking rap show. Like, I saw him when I first saw a wrestling match in SmackDown years ago when I was, like, in high school. And that dude was in the audience rapping, putting the mic to people's faces. They were rapping, and it was cool. Started wrestling.
Do you know that R-Truth actually just released a single with World Star Hip Hop that just released on YouTube like 2 days ago? I have not watched it yet. I don't know what it's like, but that's the time and the place. Dark Elevation is the time and the place. In the middle of Dynamite, right before a singles match to hype up your go-home show for a pay-per-view, not the time and the place.
Yeah.
Also, something that I noticed is that they had Billy Gunn attack Swerve Strickland before the match. So that got him and Max Caster thrown out for this one-on-one. The fact that there was nobody at ringside kind of hindered this match in a way, because you could tell that people, as much as they like Anthony Bowens, they care more about Max Caster.
Well, and it was also a 15-minute match between two halves of a tag match, and they didn't really do a good job explaining who these people were and why they were fighting each other to anyone who may have been there for the first time and needed catching up. They didn't do a VTR package of Swerve trying to cut Billy Gunn's nuts off, so nobody knew that it was Billy Gunn. That's why Billy was going after him, except the people who already knew.
Wow. Well, here's the thing: is that did you watch the TV show back? I actually already know this answer.
No.
I didn't think so. But that's the thing, is that nobody from the TV I saw. Okay, Sean, AB, you did not have the privilege of having to listen to Excalibur try to explain the backstory for everybody on this show.
Yeah, I'm thankful that commentary was not something that AB was getting enough commentary from me that he didn't need it from anyone else.
Well, I mean, you could have explained it better than fucking.
Well, probably, yes. Probably. Given what AB and I have been able to do on Colonial Impact Wrestling, link is in the description, I would imagine that AB and I would probably have fared better than Excalibur and Tony Schiavone and whoever they added for the third person.
And the third person was Taz, who was actually the best on
All right,
commentary.
I like Taz. Taz is cool.
Taz, yeah.
And there will be no need of any cojones carnage.
That's right.
Right, so did this match start with a collar and elbow tie-up?
Come on, Sky. Come on.
No, it didn't.
And it, again, went too long, and the crowd lost interest almost immediately in this match. Maybe within, like, 2 minutes, the crowd was like, okay, I don't really care.
Did I go get ice cream at that point?
No, that was later.
Ah.
But this was the point where everybody in our group started going, well, when are we going to beat the traffic? Or how are we going to beat the traffic? Like, what exactly are we waiting for here? Because it was just so boring and the crowd wasn't into it and everybody was starting to fall asleep this early into the show. That really says something, I think, when the crowd is that unenthused for the Dynamite you're trying to foist off on people. Oh, and we also forgot to mention that Tony Khan, before the show started and went live, Tony Khan came out to make sure that everybody knew that he was the one who brought this to you, and, you know, just to splooge on the stage in front of everybody before he walked away.
What was the reaction to Tony Khan? Like, did people cheer him?
Very little reaction either way. It was neither, really. I mean, it wasn't booed, but he wasn't cheered either. It was Connecticut's half enthused. Yeah, it's beige jacket boy.
Yeah. Hey, stage guy. Hey, guy on the street. Hey.
Yeah, the boss. Yeah. The boss.
No, I didn't boss either until like you told me.
Yeah, the boss that got sucked off later on the show, but we'll talk about that later.
I think it was the fan. Like, you'd always be like, and coming to the stage, your manager, freaking Vince McMahon or something like that. You know, they didn't do that for him.
But that's the thing, is that there's no presence with Tony Khan. Like, he doesn't have nearly the charisma of Vince or
No.
Shane or Stephanie or Triple H.
Yeah.
No, he always looks like he is like one bad tweak away from a full-blown Ritalin panic attack.
Oh man.
I will say this match with Anthony Bowens and Shane Strickland, it was the best match on the show for one specific reason, that it was defined babyface and heel. Like, you're supposed to like Anthony Bowens, you're supposed to hate Strickland. It's very obvious who the babyface and who the heel was. This was another match that went through a commercial break with a picture-in-picture that we just didn't need.
Yeah, it didn't need to go this long. You could have the same match, but cut it to a 4-minute match, a 6-minute match. We don't need to see 48 kickouts between these two guys.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, give me a 4-minute match where Bowens seems to get the advantage, but Swerve cheats to win at the end of it anyway. Fine. You know, it's
Right.
This wasn't necessary. As with most of the stuff on the show, it wasn't necessary.
Yeah. So then we get a video package for Nyla Rose and Jade Cargill.
Which I barely remember.
It was the Hype Their match on the pay-per-view. A lot of the VTRs were dedicated to the people who did not appear physically on the show, but were hyping them for their matches on the show. Oh, we also missed Jeff Jarrett talking for a little bit.
Yeah, for like 5 seconds before he pushed away a producer. And I don't know what Jarrett is doing. Like, he's trying to be like the leathery guy. He's trying to be leathery Clint Eastwood from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And it's just ugly. And I love Jeff Jarrett, and I just don't understand. Like, they had Jay Lethal there, and Big Indian Boy who was there backstage, and they did these VTR packages, but I wasn't paying much attention to the screen, but there was a lot of stuff on the screen and not a lot in the ring for a lot of this show.
Dude, I just see this right here. I got a clip I'm going to send you. It's a picture of Captain Insano from the movie and now, back to back. I'll send it to you.
Oh, great. Oh, boy.
Amazing. Just how coincidental I saw that. I'll send it. Oh, my God.
And
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, Big Show, as much as I love Paul White, dude needs to be a little bit more like, you don't need to appear, man.
he's just fucking around at this point. I don't even blame him. It's like, fine, take Tony's money and just fuck around. If that's all the rest of the show, who are the people taking it quote unquote seriously in this company, are gonna do, why wouldn't you if you're Paul White? They're paying you to go
Also,
be dumb.
Why the cape?
The block that his arms are as jacked as it used to be back in 1998.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, in 1998, who is that, by the way, with him? Is that Percy Pringle?
No, it looks like, what's his name? Freaking Farland. But I don't think it is.
Oh, Chris Farley? No, I don't think it's Chris. No, it might have been Chris Farley at that time. Although it is Chris Farley. Or I don't know if it is Chris Farley. It does look a little bit like Paul Bearer, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does look like Paul Bear before he dyed his hair from orange to black. Anyways, we're going to get to the highlight of the show for you guys. Samoa Joe coming down to the ring for an interview with Tony Schiavone.
Now, this is when we went to get ice cream. Now, I saw this on the television while AB was getting his ice cream, and you could hear Samoa Joe, and God, he is so good. That promo was great. He looked right into the camera. I thought he was just going to take the microphone straight from Tony and just have Tony kind of walk away like they always do, but he actually sat there and had an interview with Tony, and he spoke into the mic, and he looked into the camera, and it looked like he meant what he said. And Joe is a tremendous linguist. It was great. I love Samoa Joe. His promos are always good. I wish they didn't make this tag with Wardlow just to have Wardlow, just so they could break up and have this match, like, because that was the only reason they did it. But we did.
After 1 month.
But we did pass Wardlow as we were getting ice cream. Remember that, AB? Remember that jack-looking dude who was by the AEW security guards as we were walking by?
Yeah. Big boy. He's a big man.
He's a big guy, but he's shorter than I thought he was.
Yeah, short. But
He's
good.
maybe like, what, 6'2"?
Probably.
6'3", maybe. See, he's not as tall as one would suspect, but we passed by him, and he was just walking around just back behind, because he was going to come through at the side. But he literally could have walked in from anywhere. That's how few seats there were that were full. But during that time, I also went and checked the merchandise table myself. And I want to give you my comments on the merchandise table.
Okay, go ahead.
There were only 5 entities that were really properly, accurately represented at that merch table. FTR, MJF, The Acclaimed, Sting, a little, I think they had like a Danhausen keychain, and the last one was CM Punk. That's it. There was no Omega merch. There were no Bucks merch. There was no Death Triangle merch. There was no any of the trampolining sheeple. None of those people had merchandise, but the people who the fans like, the people who the fans believe are still over, even Sting, for what he is, people still love Sting. The people that are over are the ones that the merchandise is available for. And you know what that tells me, Sky?
What does that tell you?
It tells me that Tony knows damn well who the people like and cheer for and want, but believes that no matter what, Tony's friends and that should take priority, and that he doesn't care what the fans like. He wants to make money on what the fans like without actually emphasizing that in his booking, and basically wants to give those fans the antithesis of those people in his booking, but expect them to still buy the merch of the people they like. And this is the guy who caters and wants to give the fans what they want. It more sounds like a certain McMahon going, I know what the fans like more than the fans, but I'm still going to sell what the fans likes merch so I can make money off what the fans like regardless.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I'm going to counter it with this. This is only one show, and this was before the Elites returned from their hiatus, if you will.
Then why sell the Punk shirts?
Because I'm pretty sure they had an inventory list and they knew that they could sell them. They're probably going to be off-brand at this point. They're going to be on sale or at some point. But as long as he's technically part of the company, you might as well make the money with the merch that they had. Plus, I imagine that if he was healthy and nothing would have happened with the Elite, that he would still be there right now.
Maybe, but you'd think if it really was a contract buyout, they'd want to get the thought of his name off the shelves as much as possible, considering that really this lack of openness with the MJF debacle is probably 2/3 of the reason why that arena wasn't full in the first place.
My counter is, remember when Punk left WWE and they still had a lot of his merch they had to sell?
I don't remember that, actually, because I wasn't buying WWE merchandise at the time.
But also, they kept selling his merch for, I think it was like half a year because they had so much of it, because he was one of the big merchers at the time. And then they started selling his stuff less and less because obviously they were going to make new stuff. And they also put all of his old stuff out for sale. It's just an inventory thing. I've seen it in retail.
I'm not saying you're wrong,
so
Sky, but it doesn't... Even with CM Punk off the table of that group, look at the rest of the names. The ones that they keep off television 3/4 of the time. Why? Because FTR liked Punk, so they're getting punished, and FTR has been punished for many reasons in that company, because that's what but they're still selling tons of merch. Sting, I mean, that's just a legend's name at this point. MJF, because they know that he's the most popular guy that they have. And the Acclaimed, because they're the most over of anybody that they've got that's homegrown at this moment. But no Jericho items at all. Heel or babyface. It just, to me, it's a symbol that Tony knows exactly what the fans want and is deliberately choosing not to give it to them to push his and the Bucks agenda. And I'm not surprised in it, but he's way less clever about it and subtle about it as he thinks he is.
Well, you're not wrong. I mean, again, it's about knowing what is going to sell and what isn't going to sell, because they have all that stuff that's on. They have all that stuff that's on Shop AEW. They have the Elite stuff. They have a Captain Insano stuff. They have the Chris Jericho stuff and all the other stuff. So I mean, you're not wrong. But anyways, let's move on back to the show real quickly. So, you talked about Powerhouse Will Haas and Wardlow coming in, right?
Yeah, I mean, we heard the Hobbs promo, but AB and I were coming back up, and at that point, I don't think either of us were really invested in whatever was going on. So Wardlow came in and did his thing, and we were like, "Oh, cool." And again, we were like, "So when are we leaving to beat traffic?" And I was just waiting for MJF. I begged to just be like, "Let's just wait for MJF." In hindsight, I wish I hadn't have done it, given what I saw. And we should have just left at 9:15 to avoid all the traffic, and we probably would have been better off. But hindsight's 2020.
1,000 people there.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter. That's how boring the show was. I know at least 3 of our contingent were falling asleep by the time that 9:15, 9:20 happened.
You're gonna pay tickets and only attend an hour of the show because it's that boring?
That's what they gave us. Like, AB, I know you were falling asleep, and I know Vic was falling asleep.
Yeah, I was getting a little drowsy there. I was like, okay, this is really dragging.
And in 75 minutes, you left, what, 3 times? Nothing was keeping you to the edge of your seat going, man, I really want to watch more of this. It's more like, wow, I can probably go to the bathroom 3 more times in this match if I really want to.
Okay.
And considering what WWE was and how that show kept moving, it was a 3 hours live event, but it never felt like there was a moment that was where things stopped.
Yeah, I felt like I was going to miss something if I went to get food during those shows. With this one, I was like, I think I have time.
Well, the other thing, too, is that you have to remember that that's a live event. It's different from TV. So TV's going to operate differently.
Well, and it would, I mean, but AB, you've been to WWE shows with commercials before anyway, and you still feel like you can't leave because something might happen.
Yeah, when I went to the Berkeley Center to see SmackDown live, that was like, it still felt the same way. I was all like, I feel I'm going to miss something, but I got to get some food because it's freaking good. And the food was not that great. The fries were good, but the freaking food was not that great. That's so upsetting.
Yeah.
How was the ice cream, by the way?
Horrible.
Meaning it was just...
And the lady charged me for an extra napkin. It was time low, she gave me 1 napkin.
She charged you for an extra napkin?
She tried to charge for an extra napkin. I should have just got the vanilla because the chocolate vanilla mix was just more chocolate than vanilla. And I was just like,
oh, that's a shame.
I didn't get the mix.
You never go for the half and half, man, because if you go for the half and half, it's more like a 75-25.
Yeah.
Really you're not wrong. You're not wrong, Sky.
That is very fact. I was going to go straight vanilla next time.
Yeah, here's the thing is that unless you have to eat at the arena, don't eat at the arena.
Yeah.
I'm just...
You know how much a beer was going? Beer was going for $14.50,
wow.
Like a Miller Lite in a can.
Wow.
I mean, dude, at hockey games at the SAP Center for the Sharks is $15.
That's sad. That's painfully sad. And I was like, there's no way in hell that I'm going to spend a third of the price of my ticket for a beer. that is not happening.
And especially if all beers Miller Lite.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. No thanks.
Anyways,
thanks.
You come back from commercial. We get Dr. Breaker, DMD, cutting a promo from the back. Did you hear this one?
I did. Do you remember anything about it, AB?
No.
Do you remember a lot of this show, AB?
No, unfortunately, I don't really like. There was no real like memorabilia from it. I just like, okay, these are people. There's no real nothing behind what I'm seeing. I'm just like,
all
there.
sizzle, no steak.
Yeah.
And very little sizzle at that. It's like melting butter at 2 on the scale of the oven when you got the pan on. You're trying to melt it on low, and it's just kind of, you can see the pat and it's starting to melt, but you're like, there's no bubble, there's no sound, there's no hot liquid in your cheekbone. It's just.
Like, I sent a video to Sean earlier today with freaking Shawn Michaels when they were doing the G Generation.
Yeah, the I just kicked Stan.
Like, he just keeps kicking people in the face.
Yeah.
I mean, something that WWE has always done is that they always try to find people who at least have charisma or star power and make them stand out. Like, for example, AB, let me ask you a question.
Yep.
What do you think of Drew McIntyre?
He's memorable. I remember actually seeing that guy. Very much so.
What did you think of Gunther? Big German guy.
Yep, I like Gunther. Very powerful fellow.
And see, the fact that you remember the names alone is indicative of what WWE does better than AEW.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what, and you could say that there's stuff that's stupid on WWE and it's boring, you know, sometimes, and they make nonsensical moves, but the way that they present stars, at least in the small term, allows people who don't watch them very often to remember the names and who they were and go, yes, I did see that person.
Yeah.
Like, again, if you know Roman Reigns is in the building, you know Roman Reigns is in the building.
Right.
Yeah.
If you know that Drew McIntyre is here, Drew McIntyre is here. If you know Sheamus is here, Sheamus is here.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get that with AEW.
Oh.
Especially this 6-man tag, AR Fox, who was debuting, and Top Flight, Dante and Darius Martin versus Death Triangle, Pac, Penta El Zero Miedo, and Rey Fenix.
Now, before we get to this match, you asked about the promo from Britt Baker.
Yeah.
Because I heard this promo when I saw it, and I don't necessarily hate the words used, except they weren't Britt's, and she spoke like they weren't hers. And it sounded very Robotnik, very bland, very boring, and like she didn't mean it because she was reciting scripted verbiage.
Oh, you said the word. They were scripting promos, weren't they?
It sure sounded like it, because if Britt meant it, and even if she is working with Saraya, if they were her words, you'd at least be able to feel the emotion behind them. There was nothing there. It was synthetic. That promo was as synthetic as Paige's face.
We'll get to her later.
When Saraya dies, they're going to have to cut her face so that birds don't die.
Oh my God.
But anyway, so then we get this trios match, and I could not name for you a single move in it. Because
just a lot of flips.
It was wow. And I think this was another match where I was like, wow, a dive. What a surprise. Because there were 1,000. You know, Phoenix did every time they do that package pile driver, and Phoenix has to run and catapult like he's a ping pong ball out and attack the other guys. It was what you see out of this every time. It was moves, and then more moves, and then more moves, and then kickouts, and then kickouts, and then some double team moves, and then some kickouts, and then some moves, and then some kickouts, and then the Death Triangle won.
Literally.
That's it.
That was a very uninspired promo.
It's just the pins are so unexpected too. So it's like you feel like, okay, that's got him. That totally got him.
No.
These are just all like they do some moves, and all of a sudden pins kick out. Like, oh, what? Your pin? Oh, shoot.
Yep. Because there's no flow. There's no highs and lows. There's no structuring of the thing where somebody gets an advantage and then somebody else has to fight back and beat them down. Like, there's none of that. It's just, let me show you how much shit I can do. But 6 people. And that's all it was. And it was boring. And then Pac cut a very uninspiring promo going, well, there's words that people are going to come back, and if those people want to fight us, which they may or may not, even though, you know, it's basically happening, know that we're going to beat you down, whether you're coming back. But this is a promo against somebody who might be coming back, but, you know, they're not coming back, but you shouldn't come back because we're the Death Triangle, and you shouldn't come back. And then Penta and Phoenix go, Spanish words, and then they leave.
Did they actually go Spanish words?
They didn't say that. No, they did their yelling and Cero Miedo and all that jazz. But you know, who cares? Because then the graphic comes up for the Elite, and the crowd went mild at best. It was like, yay. But it was more like half the crowd was excited and the other half was like, oh, so it really is going to be like this, huh? And that's what Steve said to me. Steve said to me, that's it. That's it now. And I'm like, yeah, sadly, I think you're right. So It's
something that AEW has done, and we can talk about this later on, but I just want to mention this right now, is that they keep touring the same areas over and over and over again. Here's the thing. Both of you know that I'm on the West Coast, right?
yeah.
Do you know how many times a year WWE comes to town?
Probably 3 or 4, maybe. I mean, for major shows, maybe twice.
For major shows, twice, and usually during the same weekend they do the house shows, but usually it's 2 to 3 times a year, right?
Sure.
Did you know that they have never come to California?
AEW?
They've never come to California. They've never gone anywhere west of Texas. And Texas, they only did like a show in Dallas like 1 or 2 times. They've never come to the western United States. They're always in the east or in Chicago.
That's quite interesting, actually. I wonder why that is.
Because they're a regional territory.
No, Sky. That's insulting territories. They're a indie show with a budget.
Oh my god.
That's all they are. That's all they've been. And it was evidenced by the electrifying matchup. Oh no, we're not there yet. I'm sorry, we're not there yet. But we were introduced during this commercial break to Bob, the special agent. Bob, the special agent, is some random ass dude with a goatee. And Justin Roberts was like, "There's Bob, the agent."
Bob.
And Bob he waves, and of course Bob gets a chant. Bob.
Biggest pop in the whole show.
Yeah,
Bob.
that got over. Bob got over. And then the TV came back on, and we got another match that people didn't give a fuck about.
I'll never forget Bob.
Yeah. Bob.
Bandito versus All Ego Ethan Page.
Bob, rock paper champion. Rock paper scissors champion.
No, we're not there yet.
We'll get to that.
We're not there yet. We had this match first because this is the match where I got the most heat.
Well, here's the thing. Do you want to know what this match was for?
Number 1 contendership for some Ring of Honor bullshit for a pay-per-view that is for a company that doesn't actually exist because Tony Khan is literally got the car battery attached to the nipples of the corpse. That is Ring of Honor.
Nope, it's not Ring of Honor.
What is it for?
This is the AEW World Championship number 1 contenders tournament semifinal.
Oh.
So the winner of this gets a number 1 contenders match? Is that what I'm understanding?
They get to the finals of the contendership tournament that would happen on the pay-per-view.
Basically, kill me, Tony. For fuck's sake.
These 2 people won matches in the quarterfinals to get to the semifinals.
Damn, Super Smash Brothers style.
Yeah. And except I like Super Smash Brothers, and I like the characters in Super Smash Brothers. Neither of these guys did anything to make me more interested in them going forward.
Okay, want to know something stupid, but I'll just go ahead and say it right now.
Uno and Grayson?
I used to book Super Smash Brothers Brawl like it was a wrestling company.
Oh, dope.
That'd be fun. I love Brawl. That's my favorite Smash.
So Mario and Luigi were my tag champions. They kept reigning over everybody because Mario was one of my favorite characters.
And they're also quite good in Brawl.
Yeah.
Well, Mario, it depends on how you use him. Luigi can be good, but he's situational. And the main feud I had was Mario versus Sonic because, of course, it was.
Yeah, and Sonic is kind of dog shit in Brawl. They made him so much better in Ultimate, I think. Like, he actually has some oomph to his moves. Like, he was so fast, but he couldn't do anything powerful in Brawl. Yeah. And they actually, thankfully, like, crept his power better in the later games.
They also made him easier to control, so that way you don't just run off the screen.
I did that so many times with Sonic. Like the Bridge of Eldon, and I'd be trying to like jump over the top, and I go over the side and go all the way into the corner.
That's how it goes. But yeah, this match did get a collar and elbow tie up, and it was also the only one like the collar and elbow tie up the entire night.
And I didn't even notice because I was already burnt out by the hour and a half of show we'd watched where nothing was on it. But
here's the thing. What happens with the fans and a certain luchador by the name of Bandito.
Yeah, well, so Bandito goes to the top and he does the Eddie Guerrero shimmy and he does the frog splash and everybody creams their pants except for me. And I explained to AB why I said what I said and the reasons behind my frustration and exhaustion, which we've discussed on the podcast several times, Edsturbation. Right? And everyone starts chanting Eddie, and I say, it's been 17 years. He's dead. Let it go. And oh man. Well, and this guy turns around, and you can tell this guy has gone to a lot of AEW shows. He's like, whoa, dude, it's tribute. It's tribute. I'm like, it's been 17 years, and you don't do this for anybody else. Let it go. Not every luchador has to do Eddie Guerrero. Leave it alone. And he just kind of turned around and sat down, but it won't be the last we talk about him tonight.
You want to know what you also could have said to him?
What's that?
You could have said, okay, everyone does the Eddie Guerrero tribute. I'm waiting for the Chris Benoit tribute.
Yeah. Well... I mean, that's a little different though. That's going like a little edgier than I was aiming. You know, I think just the fact that I said Eddie's dead so curtly got people so bothered. But genuinely throughout the night, I could feel people being uncomfortable with me being such a dick all night and just shitting on the whole show, and it was amazing.
Be honest with me, AB. When you were sitting there listening to Sean talk shit about the show, were you like, I don't know this dude, I'm just sitting next to him?
I was like, I know this dude. He's doing what he's doing. If he gets jumped by a big gorilla Latin man, I will do my best to defend him. But good golly, I had no idea what the heck was going on the whole time. So hearing him go, oh man, yeah, this is shoddy. Oh, hey, I just think about that guy I just think about the heckler guy at comedy shows.
Yeah.
And I was waiting for someone to be like, will you come up here and do better? And I think we all were waiting for that to happen.
Dude, and I would have marched my ass right down there and grabbed that microphone.
Yep. Throw it down.
Yeah, I would not have cared.
Woo.
I mean, come on, we all know that AEW fans are pussies. Like, none of them are going to do anything.
Well, and that's just it. I'm like, if I know that I could basically say anything and very few people are going to actually do something about it. I was just trying to get a reaction, and I only got a real reaction a couple of times, and that Eddie Guerrero one was one of them, but that was easy. That was a low-hanging fruit. I knew that I would get some people upset with me when I said that, but it was worth it. It was so worth it because people don't hear the truth enough where they're just so obsessed with this Eddie Guerrero stuff. They need to let it go. They need to hear the truth. Rip off the Band-Aid. It's been on for 17 years. That Band-Aid is moldy. That Band-Aid no longer has the happy smiley face on it because it's been worn off by years of attachment. Let it go.
And it's one thing when people like Batista or Rey Mysterio or Chris Jericho or even Chavo did it because they knew him in real life. Bandito has probably never met Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, you know, there are other luchadors, famous luchadors other than Eddie Guerrero, and I wish that 3/4 of modern luchadors knew that and understood that. They don't, so everyone has to do some homage to Eddie Guerrero like he's the only wrestler. Give me a Blue Demon Jr. reference, will ya? Give me a Dr. Wagner Jr. reference. Give me an El Santo reference. Enough.
Even Mil Mascaras.
Even, especially Mil Mascaras. Do that. We know what Eddie is. We know how great Eddie was. But everyone has to stop trying to be Eddie. Because it's not exciting and it doesn't make me laugh. It doesn't make me smile. And it doesn't even make me fondly remember Eddie Guerrero anymore. It makes me remember just how many people have bastardized Eddie's moveset.
But this is the 17-year anniversary of Eddie Guerrero dying. Don't you want to talk about it, Sean?
But we're going to talk about it during the 18th and 19th and 20th and 21st and 22nd and 23rd and 24th and 25th. So, you know, at what point do we just have to accept that their legacy is what it is, but it's getting to the point where it's getting in the way of the business? Please stop.
Right.
Everyone, please stop. And no more frog splashes as just signature moves either. I don't really care for that. If you're gonna do an Eddie homage, do a frog splash, a good frog splash, and make it your frog splash. And the person I'd rather have do that and have it be their finish is Kevin Owens.
I mean, that's not really a finish for him.
No, but it could have been, and could be, considering he's got that big old belly, and when he lands it, he fucking lands it.
Drink every time you hear frog splash.
Yeah.
Oh God, you'll be dead.
God, you will be dead, for fuck's sake. Good granny.
Now they do a video package for Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, which is whatever.
We weren't paying attention.
Then they had the interview with Renee Paquet and Saraya, aka Paige.
Again, I can't say I remember anything in it.
Yeah, a lot of the TV segments where they were talking on the loud screen, it was so unaudible. I couldn't really hear what they were saying.
Yeah, it was very poorly mic'd, and that's also something you got to give WWE credit for. Every VTR package they had, you could clearly see who the people were, hear who the people were, and what they were saying. You couldn't get that with AEW a lot at all.
I can just tell you from watching TV that Saraya looks like she has so much plastic on her face. If you took a knife to it, you probably wouldn't see her bleed.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I mean, I already made my her face is plastic jokes earlier in the podcast, so I'll quit while I'm ahead.
Right. We'll just call for Alberto Del Patron and he'll take care of the rest. Anyways.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Damn, Sky. Man.
Abizzle won't get why that's bad, but I'll explain to him.
No, that got dark quick though.
Oh boy.
Alrighty
now,
then.
The thing. We're an hour and a half through the show. At this point, how many people had left the arena?
Everybody wanted to watch MJF. Like the whole attitude, probably from 8:45 on, was, when's MJF getting here? Because I want to go home.
Yeah.
That was from everyone. That wasn't just from us. That was literally how the vibe I got from the place was, get MJF out here so we can leave.
Yep.
Well, here's the question though: is that when did the rock paper scissors thing happen?
That was the commercial right before Moxley and MJF came out, I think.
Well,
and that was.
Hold on, let's wait for a second, because they go to bathroom commercial. They talk about Eddie Kingston and Ortiz's match that's coming up against these Japanese wrestlers, which I don't care about. Eddie Kingston, to me,
Takeshita, and I forget who the other one is.
Takeshita.
Jun Akama. The thing that I just noticed is that Eddie Kingston looks so much older now. He's aging very badly.
They had an opportunity with Eddie Kingston where he had that article come out about him. The fans loved him. They gravitated towards him. They didn't care about his weight. They cared about like the way his matches were. I loved his match with Punk. You know, he was on another level and was doing good work and quality stuff. And then they Mark Sanchez butt fumbled.
Well, more specifically, what did they do?
Just kept him off television. They just stopped doing anything with him.
Who did they have him feud with?
Oh, well, yeah, but he beat Jericho, though.
No.
Well, the first time, you're right. Jericho eventually did win the feud, and that pretty much sucked what was left of Eddie Kingston out. And we called that was going to happen at the time, too.
Yep. Jericho, that's the way Jericho does, is that he gives you a clean win, and then he wins the feud overall going over at the end.
Yep, because that's what happened with Claudio. That's what just happened with Claudio. Claudio made Jericho tap out on the show we watched, and then at Full Gear, Jericho beats Claudio.
With two really shitty-ass Judas Effect elbows.
Yeah, you know, Jericho's not a leech. He's a tick. He latches on, and he sucks some blood for a little bit, and then after about 24 hours, he releases his poisons into you, and your career is ruined. And you get Lyme disease, and every time you try to make a comeback, a wave comes back up, and you sit back down, and you're back on dark. And, yes.
Yeah. Now, they get to the women's match, Anna Jay versus Toni Storm. Sean, can I just say something right now?
I forgot this match even happened.
Right, but here's the thing, is that the Toni Storm that I book in NWL is so much better than the Toni Storm that AEW has.
Everything we do in all of our booking forever is better than what AEW does and has. Let me put that right there, blanket statement. Those of you people who watched my promo from earlier this week know my feelings after this show had ended, and we'll talk about all of that. But there is a reason why the whole point of it was putting over ACPW and NWL, because there is no disputing that Skyler and I, half-assing it once a month, have put on better shows than Tony Khan has with the equal amount of effort. If we had put as much effort in as Tony Khan does, we'd have a better program, bar none. So yes, Skyler, your Toni Storm is better than AEW's Toni Storm. It's not even a competition.
I mean, Amir, did you even care that there were very beautiful women wrestling each other?
There were. I didn't pay attention.
That's the thing, is that Amir especially is a man who likes and appreciates women with assets.
Oh my goodness.
Particularly his ladies' assets, which are
right.
wonderful and fantastic, and he can speak on it more than I can. But whether that is spoken about here or there, at that point, everybody wanted to see MJF and leave. And no amount of sex appeal was going to change that for an AEW arena full of, like a third full of incels.
Especially with Jamie Hayter coming in and basically doing a titty bump to Toni Storm. Who, by the way, Jamie Hayter won the title from Toni Storm.
Well, Jamie Hayter...
I don't remember Diva Battle. I don't.
Yeah, exactly, because they came in, Jamie Hayter did a titty bump and left, and they like bumped chests and left, and we just kind of looked at each other going, okay, is MJF up next?
Jesus.
Sky, I'm telling you, the crowd could not be bothered until the guy that they wanted to see was there. And at this point, it doesn't matter. Jamie Hayter's not even that bad. I don't hate Jamie Hayter, and they may make Jamie Hayter just the undisputed champion because Tony's thinking of stripping Thunder Rosa because she may never come back. And at this point, let it go to Jamie. It's not her fault if that title run falls flat in its face, because this division has been a train wreck from the start.
Anyways, so now tell us about the rock, paper, scissors thing.
So then we get Bob again, and they go, do you want to see Bob in a match? And everyone's like, yeah, is Bob going to actually wrestle somebody? Which I think, if Bob had actually wrestled somebody, that would have probably gotten over. But
yeah,
instead...
they were going to fight, but then they're like, rock, paper, scissors!
Oh, no, then they're like, oh, let's find somebody for him to fight. Hey, you, Derek, random security guard. You want to come and fight? And they're like, yeah, bring Derek in. So they brought Derek in, and Justin Roberts is like, you want to see these two have a match? And everyone's like, yeah. And then Justin Roberts is like, you want to see these two have a rock, paper, scissors match? And everyone was, it was just like, no. And I remember screaming, why was this an option? And having like 40 people in front and behind me laugh, because they're like, seriously though, why was this an option? And this, you thought that they couldn't kill the crowd heavier than they already had. They do this rock, paper, scissors things. I don't remember who won, maybe Bob. I don't know. But here comes this guy who gave me this whole shit about exturbation again. And AB, why don't you tell him what this guy said as he walked away?
He said, oh man, I can't stand it. That's it.
That just killed my vibe.
It's killed my vibe. I'm going to the bathroom. And he never came back.
And he never came back. Hey, this rock, paper, scissors was, and that is really indicative, folks. Not even Northeast Wrestling would do something that stupid. AB, you and I went to the North Haven Fair where we watched Northeast Wrestling. Did they do a rock, paper, scissors match in the middle of the show? The answer is no, they didn't. His silence was a silence of yes. That was a positive silence because they didn't. They actually had a street fight between Brian Anthony and Ron Zombie that went all through the crowd. But it was, that show had more legitimate people trying to take the show seriously and the matches seriously at a county fair than full-blown TNT budget AEW. To the point where it alienated hardcores from the show.
The funny part is that the extermination guy tried to deny it. Like, I'm going to the bathroom. Like, dude, just say the show sucks and you're going home.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the fact is, and that to me is a full-blown signification of the major problem that AEW has. They can't help but get into their own way by doing stupid bullshit. Because they think people want stupid bullshit, and they don't. And that's why, I mean, you want to talk about throwing a wet blanket on an already put out fire. That's what happened here in this match. And in this quote unquote match, this rock, paper, scissors thing, before we went back on the air and got our main event.
Imagine if they did a thumb war.
Oh, that would have been thumb wrestling.
At least that would have tracked somewhat. Thumb wrestling still has wrestling in it. Arm wrestling still has wrestling in it. Rock, paper, scissors has I am a 10-year-old child.
The only way you can make that segment work is if you had the Acclaim do a rock, paper, scissors match, but they always go scissors because they say...
Scissor me daddy. Yes, that makes sense. Against The Rock.
Yep.
That would make sense.
Then who's the paper?
That'd be beautiful.
That I'm not sure.
The Miz.
The Miz. Either the Miz, the Miz or somebody who's small, pasty white, and paper thin, which could be any number of people on the AEW roster.
There has to be like a gimmick somewhere where there's a trios tag team that's literally just 3 wrestlers in different masks called The Rock, The Scissor, and The Paper.
Well, don't give Josh again any ideas or it'll end up on his programming, so...
That's like something that Chikara would have done.
Yeah, well, we have enough Chikara influence in AEW as it is, but thankfully, mercifully...
Chikara closed down 7 years ago.
Well, yes, but we were also at the main event of the show of Dynamite, which was this promo segment between Jon Moxley and MJF.
Right, Jon Moxley comes out from the crowd with Wild Thing. Here's the thing. You've heard one Jon Moxley promo, right?
I've heard a lot of Jon Moxley promos.
They're all the same.
This promo was... God, I can't even really remember what he said. He's like, I'm Jon Moxley, and MJF is...
And I'm the world champion, and you don't know how hard it is to be world champion. But I'm going to do what I need to do because I fight for the best. I fight the best because I am the best, and blah, blah, blah.
Because I like to hurt people. My thing, I've got damage inside brain, and my brain tells me to hurt people. And so I hurt people because I've got really messed up brain, and I'm world champion, and I'm Jon Moxley. And that's basically his promo. And he walks around a lot, and he wears a leather jacket.
Yep.
That's...
Bald man.
Bald man. Is that... Did I pretty much summarize what we heard from Jon Moxley, AB?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and then the Firm comes out, which is a terrible name for a stable, by the way, but whatever.
Oh, yeah. Right, there was this whole, like, attack from the Firm, which was weird, because Morrissey was there, but, like, nobody really knew who any of the people were in the arena. Someone was like, people attacking somebody.
It was garbage.
Random fight. Oh, my God, what's happening? Who's that? Oh, okay.
And then MJF comes out, because, of course, MJF comes out.
You know what would be a cool, like, throw-in with that, instead of them just coming out of nowhere and just attacking them? Some kind of, like, catchphrase or sound effect or, oh, snap, it's the facility. I don't know. Explosion sound effect, boom, a bunch of people on stage.
Yeah, instead
Legs
it was
go out. Something.
Yeah, but it was just it wasn't well explained. And again, to the people in the arena, it wasn't well explained to them, so it was just chaos. And then MJF gets music, but his cronies don't deserve anything. MJF comes and cleans out his own group so that he can help Moxley, and then he takes the mic, which obviously gets the pop, and he basically says, "You're gonna fight the devil because I'm the devil, but I'm you're."
Hold on. Do you know the first thing he said?
What was the first thing he said?
All right, John, as you lay down there in the most uncomfortable thing you can be.
Right. And I did notice that, but then there was no pipe bomb after this. It was just promo. And it was...
But that's the thing, is that I've noticed that MJF keeps taking lines from the CM Punk pipe bomb promo stuff. And here's the thing. While it's good, it's also CM Punk shit. Maxwell, I love you, but we know that you can speak better than that. Come up with your own original material, please.
Well, and then it wasn't even that. It was like one of my least favorite Max promos, period. Because it was putting over Mox and I'm in for the fight of my life. And you bring things out of people that other people don't. But you're going to go in and fight the devil himself. Because I'm the devil himself. And it's time to give the devil his due. Blah, blah, blah. And
they keep trying to put over this whole devil thing with MJF. And I'm just like, I don't believe it.
Oh, well, and then Moxley and Regal kind of leave because Moxley says something about I'm champion and you're child, and that's William Regal. And they leave, and the show ends with MJF just standing in the ring and Moxley and Regal leaving. And that's how they end the show, which is, as far as Dynamite is concerned, I don't know how you could sit and watch that episode of Dynamite and go, man, I want to watch the pay-per-view. I'm going to spend $50 additional dollars on the pay-per-view. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. You have something that happened after the show that got you pissed.
Yeah, I sure did. So MJF stays in the ring and he goes, Tony, get out here. And Tony comes out and MJF first says, you know, we've had our beef and disagreements and there's been a lot of bullshit going around lately. In this company, a lot of bullshit, but that bullshit's gone now. And the people causing the bullshit are gone now. And while 2024 is going to be quite an interesting time between me being here and me going to WWE, and trust me, I love WWE, Tony, you can't deny that I've been the one keeping this show and really carrying it on my back. But all of you people here need to know that without Tony Khan, there's no alternative. Without Tony Khan busting his ass and working hard, you people don't get the chance to see MJF. And there wouldn't be the MJF you see standing in front of me without Tony Khan. You owe him a lot, Tony Khan. And I hope that you remember that at the bidding war of 2024 and the crowd goes, yay! And I'm pissed.
Now, why are you pissed?
Now, I'll tell you what my feelings were at the time, and then how I feel about this whole thing now. Knowing what we know about Regal turning on Moxley and helping MJF win the belt. As a dastardly heel.
Not promo, but basically that 2 minute and 30 second spiel from MJF at the post show conference, whatever.
Yeah.
Where he basically just shit on everybody and everything in the room, including Tony Khan.
Yeah. But that's what led to that. Now, what they were trying to do in the show itself was a classic misdirection of, boy, I look like a babyface, but when you get screwed over, I'm going to get a ton of heat. I get what they were trying to do. But this after the show bullshit, the only reason that was done was to help bolster Tony's image because they know that the attendance is down because of how badly they handled this Punk Bucks fighting situation. And of all of the people to use to further that agenda, MJF being that guy when you're trying to sell that he might turn babyface, and then to cut a babyface promo jacking off his boss was the most anti-MJF thing you could have had him do. It was the opposite of MJF. This was Stone Cold shaking Vince's hand at WrestleMania 17. The one thing you didn't want to see was to see the devil himself go, I'm the devil, but I love my boss.
Yeah, literally, though. That was like, oh, okay. Really way to sell your act, bud.
Yeah, and for somebody who's so dedicated to his kayfabe like MJF, it was like the last pillar fell, you know? The last holdout for true defiance and true superstardom, true wrestling stardom fell in line to do really just for the fact of just sucking off the boss and sucking off Tony Khan, because Tony knows that he is not the most well-liked human being in pro wrestling anymore for good reason. And I was mad because I don't care if you did that with anybody else, but you don't use MJF for that. And shame on MJF for doing it, and shame on Tony Khan for sitting there. And there's no way that wasn't prepared beforehand, by the way. Because I doubt very seriously that MJF meant that. I doubt very seriously that MJF meant that.
But that's an argument that I wanted to make. So that was your feeling at the time. What is your feeling now, a couple days afterwards?
Now, my feeling at the time is that they were trying to swerve the fact that it was going to be that MJF was really a babyface and he was trying to be a team player. And no matter what the disagreements were, you know, you got to understand, AEW's on the same page. I'm on the same page. No matter what happens here, you know, I'm with the program. And the program is with Tony Khan. And they were doing that to bolster him being a babyface. And then if they're going to have him be heel at the pay-per-view, fine, they're trying to misdirect people. I don't have a problem with that for the TV show. The best way to avoid MJF's perception not to be tarnished is to not do that in the first place. Is to not do that and break your image just so Tony Khan can feel better about himself in front of a crowd of a rapidly dwindling audience that didn't need to hear it, didn't want to hear it, and didn't care to hear it, and didn't want to hear it out of MJF, out of all people, didn't want to hear it out of him.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. I made a point today that you somewhat agreed with, and you want to know what that point was? I'll say it for the folks. Is that very easily MJF could turn on this and say, I was kidding, Tony Khan. I didn't mean any of that shit that you made me say, because I just said it to make you feel better while I took your world title and went to WWE for the money. So thank you, Tony Khan, for being a sucker and a loser and a fucking mark. But I'm gone. See ya, bitch.
Right. And I'm not saying that he can't do that. But then he's basically backtracking to cover up the fact that they made him blow Tony Khan. Period. The damage is done. And it's not like this. I hate the perception that wrestlers have now is if the cameras aren't on, it doesn't count, right? No. You know how many fucking camera phones are out there? Anyone can record anything at any time. You have to be on at 24 hours a day. Vince McMahon used to say all the time, whether you love him or hate him, perception is reality. And in this business, it is really true. And the one person in all of the wrestling industry who had adhered to that to this point was MJF. That last domino fell at Bridgeport that night. And that's why I was so angry. That's why you heard me screaming in that parking lot with a very good cameraman behind that iPhone, I should add.
Yeah.
But that's why I got so riled up.
Hey, Biz, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You've known Sean for how long?
Good long time.
Good long time. If Sean was in a room with Tony Khan for 5 minutes, what would he have done to him?
Well, smack at the donkey.
Yeah.
Smack at the donkey?
He's probably smacking the donkey.
Yeah. He is quite the jackass, is Tony Khan.
And not just one time, but probably multiple times.
He's smacking the donkey because he deserved it.
That night, he would have gotten a countrified ass whooping. That's a fact. I was ready to open up a can of whoop ass on him. You know, I was screaming in that parking lot. And I meant every word, folks. I want you to know that. I meant every word of that promo. You know, I maybe didn't articulate it as well as I could have once my emotions were a little bit more in check. But the fact of the matter is, there was only one reason why that was done, and it was what AEW really has been about from the start. Self-serving Tony Khan. Servicing Tony Khan's wants and sexual needs in the form of pro wrestling. That's all it was, and of all the people to do that, it broke my heart. It tore my heart out to see MJF do it. And I wish they hadn't. Now, this isn't like Sami Zayn doing the Johnny Knoxville match and ruining me on him forever. I'm still going to like MJF, but I'm not going to have the same level of respect for MJF as I did before, regardless, because that would have been the one time I would have been like, I'm not doing it. Whether it's true or not, I'm not doing it. Because I was already babyface on TV. This is really not going to serve anyone else but you. And these 3,000 people, 2,000 of which have already started leaving, don't need to hear this and don't need to get this message. Do you like Tony Khan anymore because of what MJF said, AB?
I still starting to bear with the fact that he's the guy. That's the guy that's running the place.
Well, here's the thing. Let me ask you guys both a question. Scale 1 to 10. We do the scale 1 to 10 on the show. What would you give this show 1 out of 10?
Well, for me, the highlight was the Samoa Joe promo. And then everything else went from average to bad to most of this crowd is falling asleep. So if this were on TV, Sky, there would be no retaining me to watch this show and sit down and watch it on television. And I can only imagine how many people actually did for this episode. I can't imagine it's that many. Definitely not the million they think they've been retaining. So I'm going to give this maybe like a 1, because Samoa Joe is a great promo. And I'll give it a 1.5 because the other 0.5 is I had a lot of fun enjoying myself being a dick. But my being a dick was more entertaining than most of what AEW gave to us.
I'm a nice person. For their athleticism, I will give them that they have some athleticism to them. So I give it a 3 out of 10. Yeah. A lot more to be improved, a lot more to be seen.
Yeah. And you were 3 years in, and I doubt that improvement's going to happen, unfortunately. Go ahead, Sky.
The hard part, again, is just you can't justify the show. Do you want to know what this number got on TV as a rating?
Yes, I'm very interested to know how many people watched what we watched.
On average, 818,000.
Oh, no. AB, they've been averaging 1 million with CM Punk there, and then he leaves, and it's been dwindling ever since. Lately, it's been averaging about, 950,000.
Here's the thing. The previous 4 shows were 997,000, 911, 930, 818.
Wow. I'm not surprised though. I'm really not. I mean, I given the way that show was framed, how could you keep watching it? We wanted to leave 45 minutes into the program, and we were there.
So here's the thing. You want to make it even better?
Please.
Do you want to know how many people started the show?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, what was it?
About 1,050,000 people.
What was the last segment?
675.
Wow.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Impact on Destination America was hitting those numbers. Oh, man. Skyler, this is worse than we thought.
They lost 300,000 people.
Dude, this is their go-home show for their pay-per-view. Sky, this might be going further south faster than we thought.
Right.
Wow.
Here's the thing. I told you guys before. I found out this information today. AEW's next pay-per-view event is going to be Revolution. And it's going to happen at the Chase Center in San Francisco, California, March 5th.
On my
It's a
birthday.
Sunday.
On my
It's the first time
30th
that-
birthday.
On your 30th birthday. It's the first time that they're going to do shows in the West Coast. And actually, you know what's even better?
What's that?
It's the first time they're coming here in 4 years. They're finally in January going to Seattle for like the first time. They're going to Portland. They're going to Los Angeles. They're going to Fresno. They're hitting up at least all the Western stuff. And then they go to Lexington, Kentucky, followed by Phoenix, Arizona. What's with the random Kentucky episode?
Wow.
Just to stick it to Cornette. What do you think they're there for? They're there to try to get Cornette in there to get some publicity. Guaranteed. But I'll tell you what, though, Sky. If I keep calling out Chris Jericho and I keep calling out these people, because apparently my rant seems to have gotten a pretty decent amount of attention, you might just see me on AEW programming on the 5th of March in 2023 if I'm loud enough a mouth. I mean, if the fucking pizza twirling guy can get on the show, how hard is it?
On the show.
How hard is it?
Here's the thing. AB, Sean, would you recommend I go to this show or should I just skip it?
I think we have to see what the dynamic of what AEW looks like by that time is. I'm not going to force you to go to a show and spend $50 on something you're going to want to leave 45 minutes in.
Yeah.
Like, that's not worth it. So we'll see what AEW looks like before. So don't put the eggs into the basket yet.
Because here's the thing, again, I really don't want to go to this show because, again, of the three of us, I'm the one that soured on AEW first. I'm the one that hates AEW the most, and I really don't want to go to this show.
I don't know, Sky. I feel like I'm giving you a run for your money on how much I hate AEW and moreover Tony Khan. But I would say if they give you the kind of show they gave us, don't waste your money.
Well, that's the thing is that this is Revolution. This is a 4-hour pay-per-view show they're going to have. They have Dynamite and Rampage at the Cow Palace. So I could go to Dynamite, I could go to Rampage too.
Do you genuinely think any of those shows are going to leave you entertained? Because you're spending money to be entertained. Are you going to be entertained at these shows, or are you just going to leave frustrated and angry and wanting to cut a promo in the parking lot?
I may enjoy watching MJF, but I don't know what else is going to be on the show that I'm going to like.
Yeah, well, again, it's a ways out.
The one good thing about AEW's pay-per-views is that they don't have that many of them.
Well, let me ask you this, Sky. And this is something, and then we'll close on this because we've had quite a good show here. But we'll close on this question. If AEW's ratings continue to tank this rapidly, what are the chances that Discovery looks at AEW and says something is seriously wrong here, and they cut the program after them thinking that they've got it in the bag and AEW is happy with their results? If they just start hemorrhaging people and hemorrhaging ratings because of their poor management of this CM Punk debacle, can Discovery still cut them off? Will Revolution even happen?
I mean, it doesn't look good with the attendance numbers. Like 3,000 people attended their TV show. They used to be able to get 10 easy in any stadium they went to.
And Steve couldn't believe it. He said, how many times they beat it? Steve say, last time this place was packed. I don't know what happened. He said it a lot.
I feel like the networks rent the space out, rent them out. Like as long as the bills are getting paid, they'll stay on the network.
Well, who knows? Who knows, man? It's gonna be hard to tell.
They're gonna do that, but the thing is that again, when it comes down to it, AEW has to make investment return. They have to make money for the company. They had 300,000 people leave in the middle of watching this show because people didn't want to watch it.
Yeah, that's not nothing. That's major. That's a major hemorrhage of viewership that you can't keep, and it's a 2-hour show. There's no excuse for that.
It's a show for a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
This is one of their bigger events that they have, and you can't get people to stay invested with it. Again, the talents that we're talking about on the show, besides MJF, was there anybody else that you were dying to see?
It was nice seeing the Acclaimed, just to see how over they were. But other than that, not really. It was nice seeing Samoa Joe, but I wasn't expecting to see Samoa Joe. So, you know,
Right,
that's
but
about
again,
it.
Like Bryan Danielson, he doesn't matter anymore. I don't care for Bryan Danielson.
I should have liked that opening tag match more considering the participants, but I'm not surprised I didn't like that match more given the participants.
Right, and it's again, so like these are people. There legitimately is a good company in AEW that with a competent booker would be a solid show and fun for everybody, and be somewhat of an alternative to the WWE as the number 2. I don't think it would be perfect, but be at least somewhere in that avenue.
Yeah.
This is not that show.
No. And I think that even the hardcores are starting to notice that. And I think that was very indicative of the guy leaving because of the rock, paper, scissors match.
Rock, paper, scissors done do.
They're gonna run off everybody in that company who is going to help that company succeed one way or another, whether it's fans or talent or otherwise, because Tony can't get his head out of his own ass, and he's got people around him that are only in it for themselves and not in it for the benefit of the company. And the only ones who were in it for the benefit of the company have been alienated and exiled from the company for not wanting to go along with the people who are self-serving's vision of the company.
Exactly. But what I can tell the folks of the CMP is that we are still going to provide that passionate review for professional wrestling because honestly, again, it's what we care about, it's what you guys deserve, and it's what we want to give to you. And we have something coming up interesting next week because Survivor Series is happening.
That's right,
and we're
folks.
gonna watch that show, and we're going to see how it goes because Full Gear, admittedly, from what I saw, was not a very good show. Even the end result with MJF winning was kind of cheered, kind of booed.
Yeah, because they've been sending mixed messages. So what do you expect? You know, they send mixed messages about I'm the devil, but God, love my boss like I do. You keep doing that, nobody's going to know how to react to people.
Yep. But anyways, the point is that we're going to move on to Survivor Series and see what WWE does. But only review of that show will be heard if you like, share, and subscribe to the Court-Martail podcast. Now, let's turn to our famous co-host, ABI
Double Z
LE.
Yep.
Abiz, thank you for taking Sean to this wrestling show, and thank you for appearing again on the show. Famous last words.
Go check out Mixed Bag 2 and also Bearman and also all the other albums and also Just a Bit More, which just came out this year.
That's right. And we didn't get the ABP spot in earlier, but we might as well throw it in now real quick. Just a Bit More released on October 14th, and Mixed Bag 2, we've been talking about it for the past month. Just released on the 18th. Check it out. The links are in the description so you can get any of that, all of the discography we have. You know, AB, we are up to 128 songs on Spotify and Apple Music from the time that we started 4 years ago up to now.
Heck yes, sir. And it's also everywhere else, Instagram, TikTok, and all those other spots.
Yep, everywhere it is. And then there's the whole SoundCloud, which is like another 200 songs. That we've got. Folks, there's a lot of content in ABPCT, and it is right at your fingertips. The link is in the description. If you would like to tune out the boring sounds of AEW, if you're at an AEW show and it's 45 minutes in and you want to leave, but you've paid $50 for the ticket, so you're going to stay regardless, pop in those earbuds and pop in some ABPCT, and that hour and a half will fly by. Because you're going to be having so much fun listening to White Knux and Abizzle that you're going to be like, oh, where'd the time go? I'm not paying attention to what's in the ring. I'm jamming to the newest and hottest music in the world today.
Darn right.
And so, with that said, we're going to wrap things up here. Skyler, I'm going to just take the reins just to close it off. But thank you for leading this show. You are always a great anchor when we are just rudderless here trying to collect our thoughts about a show that was very much forgettable.
I mean, you need someone to steer the ship through the mediocrity, and that's what we had to do today. But thank you for doing it with me, and I look forward to seeing all you guys next time.
That's right, and we will see you guys at the Survivor Series review. AB, it's always a pleasure. I'm sure we're going to go to more shows, and you'll be back on this program, and we'll talk about whether they're good or bad at the time.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, folks. And until then, anything else, AB?
Nope, thanks for having me, and I'll have come on, tune in next time.
That's right, and you know what that means. It means it's time to go to our first commercial break. We will see you for the Survivor Series review. What's that, Sky?
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Enjoy your turkey or whatever you're eating. It doesn't matter to me. I genuinely don't care. Just eat. Have some food. Get some food if you can between now and the time we talk to you next. And until then, folks, we'll be right back.